aids, straightening out, and now he's bending off the outside side. So this takes a lot of work and a lot of time to get the horse this far. In Rider 5, we worked hard at producing a haunches in. This is such an important skill to get that good transition to the lope and to start to produce flying lead changes. As the rider comes around the corner, you notice how soft and easy the horse is giving to her. It's bending off her inside leg, giving its face to her inside hand, and now she's going to change and ask him to give his hip the other way. So we have haunches in and haunches out, an important skill for doing flying changes. Now we have our English rider. Our English rider must also be able to do this. They can do it at a sitting trot, so obviously it's really important that the horse drive up underneath, that she create band around her inside leg, and then start to ask for the hip. Look at how nicely he's giving to her and still maintain lots of drive from behind in forward motion. So now our English rider is going to demonstrate haunches out. So she's going to come around the corner normally and softly ask for the horse to give his hip to the outside. Notice he did resist a little bit, but nothing major. She didn't panic, and it all came out exactly as we wanted it. The haunches in is very important to the Western horse, especially the Western horse who is going to do cattle work, who is going to rein, who is going to do speed events. We must be able to get that hind end up underneath him so he can make those speedy and smooth and balanced departures into the lope. Haunches in at the lope is a really useful skill if you ever want to do flying changes. Notice how soft he is and giving, and now she's going to apply her outside leg and he'll move his hip over. The English rider must also be able to do a haunches in to get a flying lead change. Notice her coming with a nice collected canter. The horse is bent around her inside leg, and as she comes past us, she'll start to use her outside leg and push his haunches. We've been working on the turn on the haunches for several rider levels now. And by rider level 6, it should be very finesseful. Look at this English rider's hands, how soft and easy they are getting the job done. We should be able to establish a nice firm pivot foot in the turn on the haunches. So as this horse goes into it, notice the darker foot is staying stationary and the white foot is moving. The Western rider eventually needs to be able to perform this skill using a one-handed neck rein. Notice how soft her hand is and how well the horse and the rider are communicating. Our rider should be able to do all 3 side passes. The elementary one, as you see here, where the rider is bending the horse slightly towards her active leg. They should also be able to do the intermediate stage, in which they keep the horse's head and neck straight with 2 direct reins and ask the horse to move over using their seat and their leg as an aid. The horse should still cross both its front and hind legs. The most advanced form of the side pass involves the rider first bending the horse. In this case, the rider's going to bend her around her left leg. Then she will use 2 direct reins and her right leg to ask the horse to move sideways. Our expectations are that the horse will still cross both its front and hind legs, but it will be looking into the direction it is going. The 2-track is a new skill to Rider 6. It is one of the most difficult ones to achieve, but very essential if you wish to do flying lead changes. It encompasses many of the skills that you've already learned. The side pass, the bend, the haunches in, and the advanced turn on the forehand. So we are having difficulty in understanding this because we are not realizing what a two-track is. A two-track occurs when the rider bends the horse around one of the rider's legs, and after that bend is achieved, they then push with their opposite leg while maintaining that bend. So let's break it down and have a look at it. When we're ready to do the two-track, preparation is absolutely essential. Going forward with forward motion, creating softness, and getting bend around that inside leg, because we must maintain bend throughout the exercise from now on. Once we've got the bend, we're going to push the hip a little bit, and then we're going to close the front door slightly and push the horse sideways. In teaching the two-track, one of the most important things is to remember is that we must maintain the correct bend. So here, Randy's right leg is the bend leg. It must do this throughout the exercise. So she's got the mare going forward, the mare is bent around her inside leg, the horse's head is tipped slightly to the right. As she comes around the corner, she's going to start to ask with the outside leg for the horse to move off. When we get strong, the horse naturally will change its bend. So how do we start to teach the two-track? The first thing we need to do is review that skill we started to learn in rider level 3, and that is bend. We're going to have impulsion from behind, ask the horse to go forward, get off our inside leg and our inside rein, and move forward without resistance. You need to be able to do an advanced turn on the forehand. So if you notice here, with this young horse, the horse's head is tipped to the right, his ribs are yielding off her right leg, but he's moving his body off of her left leg. So he's bent around one leg and moving off the other. The next step we need to see is haunches in. We already learned that in Rider 5, so we need to review that and make sure the horse will do that softly and supplely. When we're ready to try the whole thing, step 1, walk forward with impulsion. Step 2, create bend around the inside leg and rein. Step 3, maintain that bend. As you come through the corner, start to push the haunches. Keep the bend. When the horse is soft, push the horse sideways 2 or 3 strides and release him and ride forward. After a long time of practicing at the walk, we will then be ready to try this skill at the collected trot or the jog. Driving the horse forward, creating bend. I want you to really notice her left hand. That support rein is absolutely essential in order to get the horse to move sideways. If she lets go with that rein, it's not going to happen. Another important skill that we need to develop is to be able to counter canter. To counter canter means to lope or canter on the incorrect lead. So some of you are going to say that's pretty easy, but it's not just doing that, it's also keeping the horse balanced at the same time. Notice the rider's hands. Their outside rein may be elevated a little bit or have just a little bit more contact because the horse's nose needs to be over its leading leg, which is the outside one. They may be using their legs a little differently than if the horse was on the correct lead. The right leg, which is inside, may be back a little bit to keep the horse's hips pushing up onto the correct lead, and the inside leg may be used from time to time just to maintain the forward motion. Now I want you to notice as the horses come through this corner, notice their bend. Their head is over their outside leg, and the rider is working hard to keep that happening. None of these horses are leaning to the inside. None are dropping their shoulders and falling in. So it takes both hands and both legs to make this happen. By the time we get to rider level 6, we should be able to do a very nice variation in speed at the lope. Notice as the rider and the horse progressively move quicker. Notice how soft the rider's sitting. Notice her control with a soft rein. She's not pulling on him. When she gets here, she's going to start and sit back and push on her stirrups. And notice how nicely the horse slowed down. You didn't see any pulling on the reins. She balanced the horse's front end with her hands, but she definitely didn't pull on him. Once the English rider has mastered the canter, then as time goes on, they're going to have to extend those horses into a hand gallop. A hand gallop means the horse is now galloping rather than cantering, so they're moving on. It is now a 4-beat movement, and to help the horse balance, the rider will have their weight in their heels and will be using their knees to balance on the saddle, and their seat will actually be off the horse's back. And she will canter again. Our riders should have developed the finesse, the feel in both their hands and legs, that they can easily bend these horses and move them, any part of them, at any time that they wish. When we put 2 or 3 of these movements together, in the end we're going to produce a balanced horse with lots of impulsion that can easily do a very smooth transition. Our riders should have the finesse that with very little effort, they should be able to do any of the lateral movements. Here we see a side pass, an advanced turn on the forehand, a haunches in, and a smooth transition to the lope. Flying changes, something that everybody wants to do, and that all of us see when the horse is loose and spooked. That horse can change leads every other stride if he's spooked enough. How do you do it correctly? We should not see a lot of jerking on the reins. We should not see a lot of heavy spurring. If you've done your bending exercises, then you are now ready for the flying change. So let's talk about what you actually do with your hands and legs when you're ready to make the change. When we are prepared to actually try the change, that means our horse is going forward, our horse is collected, our horse is supple and relaxed. Notice where the rider's hands are. If this horse is on the right lead, so he's now loping on the right lead, her right hand will be a direct rein and it will be elevated to elevate his shoulder a little bit. Her right leg will be maintaining bend, and if he is bent, it may be off a little bit. It's not going to be the main active leg at this time. So we're still on the right rein. He's still loping. Her outside hand is crucial in a support roll to not let him overflex his head to the inside and to help keep his nose flexed. Her left leg, which you can see now, is still in a position to help him maintain the right lead and maybe push his hip a little bit. So here's another view. The horse is still bent to the right because he's on the right lead. At the moment that she thinks he's ready to make the change, notice what she does with her hand. The right rein goes down and the left rein elevates, And obviously she's changed legs because see his hip going to the left. Notice her left leg is now open to let the horse change leads. When we're actually ready to try the flying lead change, it's important that we have forward motion. So we lope several circles. We drive the horse up underneath and make sure he's soft and supple at the withers, the pole, and the jaw. Now the rider is going to come across on the diagonal. As she comes across, you will notice her right hand will be elevated to keep him bent a little bit around the right side. And then at the time of transition, she will change hands and legs. And we got a real clean change there. And she'll just keep him going and ride him through into the next curve so that he knows he did it right. If we just grind him down to a halt immediately, then he thinks he's being punished. For the English rider, the flying change is absolutely necessary if you're going to do those difficult jump courses where you have to make those sharp turns. It's also a requirement in the dressage ring. Her aids are basically the same as what we have already seen. So what exercise do you use to teach the horse to do this change? It's exactly the same exercise you're going to use if the horse does not change. All it is an overemphasis of what they need to do. And what does that look like to you? A haunches in, or a little bit of a two-track that is overemphasized. Congratulations on completing all of your riding levels. So what is the next step? Whether you choose English or Western, you now have a sound foundation that should make it quite easy for you and your horse to move forward. Now the fun really starts, because you will realize that the more you learn about horses, the more there will always be to learn. Enjoy! Thanks to everyone who has helped in the production of this video. Those leaders who have pushed for years to make it happen. Those 4-H members who were randomly selected to demonstrate the riding skills. The folks at Grand Peaks Equestrian Center and JC Performance Horses who graciously donated the use of their fine facilities. And especially the sponsors who stepped up with the necessary funding to open the door for many more learning opportunities in the 4-H horse program. We gratefully acknowledge the support of the Alberta Equestrian Federation, Agriculture Agri-Food Canada, Alberta Agriculture and Rural Development, American Youth Horse Council, Lamley's Western Wear and Tack, and CTV.